Hey gang, Roden here. Welcome on back to the Cade and another episode of Suckerpunch Sunday. And because this week marks the 30th anniversary of the launch of the Sony PlayStation 1, arguably one of the most transformative and transcendent pieces of electronic kit that's come down the pipe in a long time, which most people may not realize now, but they certainly didn't realize it back then, in 1994. We're going to go a couple years ahead of that to 1998. And we're going to play a game that was released by Konami. And it's actually the third fighting game that they had released, following two that were never put out in the States. And it's a game that I don't remember too much about, and I think that's part of what speaks to its overall reputation, because in looking up the reviews of it, it's not looked at very favorably by the critics of the time, but I figured, it's a fighting game and it's on the PS1. Let's give it a whirl. We're going to play Kensei Sacred Fist. Now, like I said, this game was the third in a series that was started by Lightning Legend and Fighting Bujutsu. Both those games were released for the PlayStation, but they were never reported to the US. This came out in North America in December 1998. It was released in Japan in November of 1998, and also in Europe that same time. So there are a couple different modes you have. You have versus mode, you have time attack, you have survival, you have normal. We're just going to play normal. We're going to jump right in. So this game you have 9 starting characters, and they all come from similar fighting schools, and we'll go into that as we play. And I'm just going to start with Yugo, who is our primary character in this game. His name is Yugo Senguji. And he uses karate, along with his brother Akira, who is also a playable character in this game. Now I'm going to pause it right here really quick before this fight gets started, because I need to give you a little bit of an understanding of how the controls work. So you have your standard punch, kick, throw, and you don't have heavy punch, heavy kick, light punch, light kick. It's all one-stop shopping. But in this game, because it's a PS1 game, you can't use the analog sticks if you have an analog controller. You have to use the D-pad, which again speaks to the limitations that we had with fighting games back in the PlayStation 1 era. It was corrected when they created the DualShock, but a lot of those original games, you couldn't port in the commands to be able to utilize the analog sticks on a DualShock. It was one of those little bits of translation that never really got worked out. The second thing is that in most fighting games, if you push backwards, that gives you an automatic guard. In this game, you don't have that. What you have is you have a fourth button that is your guard button, and basically it's like a dodge button. And unlike most fighting games where it's all about button mashing and stacking, while you have moves that you can put together for your particular character, you've got to be more tactical about it, apparently, and you've got to know when to be able to utilize that dodge button to be able to avoid attacks and then have an opening by which you can be able to counter, basically. So I expect that I'm going to get my butt handed to me early on in this game until I can figure those particular mechanics out. Let's get to it. But otherwise, if you look at the graphics, they're very much in the mode of Tekken for the time. Ooh, I like that back spin kick. Now, if you push up, you can jump, as I did right there. Now, this is me attempting a throw. And I better stop doing that, if otherwise she's going to knock me out with that. Oh, nice backflip kick. And the mule kick right under the belt. And we get a replay of that just to make sure. Oh, right in the plums. And you see we only get 45 seconds for each contest as opposed to 99 or an infinite. And I'm sure if I went back and set it, I could go longer. So you saw right there, I hit the X button, and that basically allowed me to guard and avoid that first attack she hit me with. And then it was just back fist, back fist, back fist, back fist, back fist, and then down she went. Now, like most games at the time, the background isn't going to be overly dynamic. And because it's in 3D, the arenas are going to be fairly non-substantial outside of the initial scenery. Because all the concentration is on building the polygons for the characters, making sure they've got an arena to fight in, and then going from there. And as you see, we're kind of on an elevated platform a little bit, so I would imagine we could probably get a ring out if we're not careful. There we go. I figure back here, if you double tap forward, you get that dash attack. And I caught her with a shot to the gut. As she tripped me up with a leg sweep, got up and boink, goodbye. You win. Now, while there is not a plot of the game that I've been able to really ascertain here, everything about these characters is that they've all been underdone by some criminal organization. And Yugo, our protagonist in this, is the one who's trying to really undo the organization. So either they work for the organization or they're trying to destroy it. Oh! Ow! He just walked all over me. So Douglas here spent years trying to hunt down the global crime syndicate. After a major breakthrough in the case, his partner was gunned down in cold blood, and now Douglas is looking for payback. And apparently Douglas is a master of Jeet Kune Do, which is the style that was created by Bruce Lee. But I don't remember a lot of this stuff in the understanding of Jeet Kune Do that I've been able to find. Yeah, leg sweeps, but Jeet Kune Do is a lot more free-flowing than this. Even though it's based on Kung Fu as its core, it also incorporates boxing, fencing, some MMA grappling, stuff like that. It's like a face spiked, and then he walks all over me again. Alright, let's try this again. Ready? Fight. Oof. There we go. And that was nearly a perfect. Just give him the roundhouse kick to the ribs. You win. And now in games like this, because it's 3D, you have to be willing to think three-dimensionally as well in terms of being able to sidestep attacks like that. Ow. There we go. Pull a sunset flip off. But when in doubt, go with the kicks. So that takes care of Douglas. You win. So now we have to fight Alan, who has been trained in Muay Thai. Parentless since infancy and raised in orphanage by his abusive foster father, his expertise allows him to defend himself in a dangerous and pitiless world. So, fighting Muay Thai, I expect him to use, a whole lot of knees and elbows. There's an elbow shot. There we go. Double tap up. Uppercut. Swing low. Sweet chariot. And it seems like if you put enough pressure on your opponent and give yourself enough space between attacks to regroup.
Ready? Fight.
Then you can just tear through them. Oh. Sit down. That knee strike had connected. That might have been an entirely different outcome. So now we get Anne. She's an amateur wrestler and plans to expand public interest by staging a street fight event.
Ready? Fight.
I don't know many amateur wrestlers who use a visor when they fight. Oh, 3 to the chin. And that would have been a perfect if she hadn't pulled off that sweep. It's funny when I look at the way most fighting game characters are designed and you think, okay, she's fighting in a, I mean, granted, she's fighting in a crop top, which, being female, makes complete sense. But fighting in blue jeans with a visor hat on, not exactly the best attire if you're getting into a scrap with somebody. And since she's a wrestler and she's hit me with shots like this, wasn't much wrestling involved in that fight. If anything, I had the better wrestling move by giving her the hip toss.
You win.
So now we have Heinz. Heinz is German, and he was trained in pit fighting.
Ready? Fight.
Well, I dodged the first shot. But sure enough, you just keep the pressure on and down they go. Now, unlike Fight Fever, which we played last week on the Neo-Geo, I at least appreciate that this game gives you a fighting chance out the gate. I mean, yeah, granted, you're going to run into guys who are going to be a little bit... Oh! Ow. Like so. Man, Heinz absolutely tore me apart in that fight. 2 to the body and then roundhouse kick to the jaw.
You lose. Ready? Fight.
There we go. Give him the sweep. Ooh, and he came back with the uppercut of his own. Oh, I thought I had enough room. Ow, get up. There we go. When I'm moving in, Yugo only wants to throw the low kicks. If I just hit kick, then he goes up top, and that allows me to get better options and more damage. So now I have Hyoma. Hyoma is one of the two ninjas in this game.
Ready? Fight.
Quit walking on me. Stepped on my toe, kicked me in the chin, fine. I backhand you 4 times till you go down.
You win. Ready? Fight.
Boot to that. Ow. Oh, a little short shot and then up with the uppercut. But I put him down. Being able to pull off different moves is actually a bit harder in this game. That whole round, I was trying to do the dash uppercut, and every time I tapped forward twice, he just jumped forward and I do that chop. So now we have David Human, popular pro wrestler. And we had to have a cowboy in here.
Ready? Fight.
Ow. Shoulder block. And he got me with a flying splash. Uh-oh. Oh! He snapped my ribs in two. And then steps on my face for good measure. The flying splash and then boot to the head.
You lose. Ready?
All right, cowboy.
Fight.
There. Go to the air and kick him in the head. And then I kicker, sir. Now, like I said, when this game came out, it was not very well reviewed. IGN and GameSpot were critical of the mechanics of it. And one reviewer called it a bland footnote in the history of the fighting game genre. Oh, he's gonna pick me up, body slam me. Ooh! Jackhammer at that. There we go. Axe kick. And with 1 second to go, I came in with the uppercut and put him down. And it was the right uppercut this time, not the left.
You win.
So GamePro gave this a 3.625 out of 5. GameSpot actually ranked it higher at 4.7 out of 10, though. And then IGN rated it 5.5 out of 10.
Ready? Fight.
So now we have Saya, who is a master of Kempo Karate, which is a different discipline than your standard karate, as I understand it, of schools of like Shotokan and things like that. It's an entirely different school. She tried to get me with her kick, and I managed to spin around, 3 back spin kicks, and then 1 for good measure.
You win. Ready? Fight.
Oh! Just charged right at me. Oh! Well, I got her with a jab, and that was enough to put her down. So the arcade version of this comprises 10 stages, with the first 8 being made-up random opponents. And now we have to fight Akira, who is Yugo's brother. Then we fight a sub-boss on the 9th stage, and then the 10 will have us fighting off against the head of the syndicate, Lei Meng, and then the 11th one will have us fight Lei Meng's bodyguard, Kaya. And we knocked each other out. Of course the brothers would do that. I throw my left hand, you throw your right hand, we both go down, and it's a draw. So, we both get 1 fight to decide who's going to win it. I think I got him. Triple kick to the chin, and down he goes.
You win.
So now we get Joe.
Ready? Fight.
Well, this is stage 10. Ah! Alright, so this guy's really good at dodging.
Time up.
And Joe won the fight.
Ready? Fight.
Uh-oh. Quit. And most of my stuff isn't landing. Ow.
KO.
And he finally put me down. Well, we're at 25 minutes, and we made it through 10 stages, and really, if we kept going, I'm sure we could probably beat it in about another 20 minutes or so if we could figure out how it works. But that, everybody, is Kensei Sacred Fist from 1998 for the PlayStation 1. Now, let's go through the usual particulars on this. Is this a good game? Yes and no. I like the 3D aspect of it. I like that it's not your conventional one-on-one fighting game in that the controls are a little bit different, and it's not just all about button mashing and stacking moves. That if you apply pressure, you can give yourself an advantage, but if you're not careful and you allow yourself to get too involved in attacking and you don't think about defense, or you don't think about sidestepping an attack or something like that, and learning how to guard, then you could really put yourself in a position where you could get beat up pretty soundly. The difficulty is not too much. I mean, like I said, with one continue, I made it to level 10. And I suspect if you give me enough time to work on Joe, I could have figured out his patterns enough that I might have found a way to be able to take him down. Whether or not the final 3 bosses in the game are overly powered and the difficulty curve spikes to the point where they're nigh on unbeatable, I've seen that happen a time or 8 in most fighting games, and that can really diminish the overall enjoyment of the game. It's one thing to go through all the playable characters and even some of the NPCs, but once you get to the end, if they've stacked it up so much that nothing you used throughout the game works, and even changing strategies, changing styles, all that stuff, if it just results in you getting your butt kicked, where's the fun in that? And that's something I would be very curious about with this game as you go through the entirety of it. Is it a game they make today? Sure, why not? But Konami being out of the video game market pretty much entirely now, I don't see them doing that. And also because the first 2 games were never released in the States, with Lightning Legend and Fighting Bujutsu, we're already coming into this story midstream. Where would be the interest in putting something like that together now, especially if you're picking it up when you don't even really understand what happened in the first 2 games and how that correlates to this one?
Ready?
So they would basically have to start from scratch and come up with something entirely different. And as I've said for a while now, I mean, the video game market is pretty much concentrated down to Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. Soul Calibur is pretty much gone. Namco isn't making it anymore. Tekken is still around to an extent, but they haven't made a Tekken game that I recall in a long time. Virtua Fighter is dead. And, I mean, yeah, SNK still makes King of Fighters, but how often do those come out? I mean, I think they just came out with an anniversary one, but those aren't nearly as popular as they were in their heyday in the 90s. Does that mean you could have somebody like Konami or another game developer come out with something that could actually set aside Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and be a standalone third option? Sure, why not? Are gamers going to go for that, though? Especially now with how hypercritical gamers are to everything that is not exactly the way they want it in a game, be it a fighting game, a action game, a open world game, RPG, sports, whatever. They've gotten so hypercritical of everything. And some of it has very valid points to it. And with some people, they're just pissed for the sake of getting pissed about things. And that's not exclusive just to video games. That's across all media at this point. If it doesn't, and for lack of a better term, if it doesn't represent what they want and what they identify with, then it sucks. And social media is full of that now. It's And I don't see that going away, sadly, anytime soon. So, I mean, Konami could try it, but I doubt it. I mean, this game didn't sell. I don't know. I have a full account of how much it, or how well it sold or didn't sell, but if it wasn't highly regarded at the time, it wasn't a big hit for Konami. And again, like most companies, they were looking to find ways to translate prior IP onto a new console in hope of getting a new audience. And Kensei, for whatever reason, didn't get it. So if you want to try it, I'm playing it on the DuckStation emulator. It's a really solid emulator, and you can play pretty much any PlayStation game you want on it. And if you've had experience with this game, let me know down in the comments below. I can't be the only person who's ever tried it out, but I mean, if you rented it one time and had a lot more fun with it than I did, or give me your 2 cents on it. I'd really like to know. But again, that is Suckerpunch Sunday for this week. You've been enjoying the content. You know how to show it. We are 399 videos in when we kick off our playthrough of Super Robot Wars Alpha Guide tomorrow. That will be episode number 400 on this channel, since we started now, almost 4 years ago. So we've been cranking out quite a lot of stuff in that time, despite taking, an 18-month break in the middle. So we've been doing our best to get you content that you might be interested in, and being able to show you different games than the standard fare you see on most YouTube channels. That was the reason why we put this together, is we wanted to go in a slightly different direction and give you guys stuff that was a little off the beaten path, and not the same old stuff that you can see other YouTube gamers do. Not taking anything away from them. That's what they do, and they're really great at it. But why copy what they're doing if we can do something slightly different? So hopefully that has been to your liking, and it's been showing as our subscriber base has gone up considerably in the latter half of this year. Be sure to follow us on social media through Instagram and Threads, and soon to be Blue Sky at Ronan's Retrocade. Help spread the word about us as we continue to build that subscriber base and make this channel bigger and better. Also, don't forget, we will have Sports Saturday coming up again next week, where we are now starting Season 2. We're already one game in of our great what-if possibility on Sega Sports NFL 2K2 for the Dreamcast, of building the New England Patriots dynasty without the existence of Tom Brady. We're already 1-0, but we got a long season ahead of us, so I'll be tuned in for that as well. In the meantime, my name is Ronan. It's been great to spend this Sunday with you. Be safe, be well, happy gaming. We'll talk to you tomorrow as we dive headlong back into Super Robot Wars Alpha Gaiden. Bye.